Man, why is it that of all the Chinese spies that have been caught infiltrating state and federal government offices, every single one of them appears to have targeted Democrats? I mean, and why is that? I mean, why don't they ever try to infiltrate or compromise Republicans? You know, I'm not saying I have the answer to that. I don't. I just find it really, really pretty interesting. I mean, whether it was Fang getting it on with Eric Swalwell or whether it was Dianne Feinstein getting worked over by her driver for literally decades, or whether it's the most recent one. You know, every single time we appear to be compromised by the Chinese, the common denominator appears to be the Democrat Party.
Filed against a former top aide to New York Governor Hochul. Prosecutors say Linda Sun used her position to advance China's interests in New York State for several years under the Hochul administration and under the administration of former Governor Cuomo.
In exchange, police say Sun and her husband received millions of dollars and other gifts. Eyewitness News reporter Lauren Glassberg is live at the federal courthouse in downtown Louisville with the very latest on this. Lauren.
Liz and Bill both were arrested this morning at their home in Manhasset, and their court appearance here at federal court was brief this afternoon. They both pleaded not guilty to the charges. The state says that this is a complicated case, that a lot of the evidence is in Chinese and will have to be translated. But the attorneys for the defendants say they just want this case to move along quickly.
We are looking forward to exercising our right to a speedy trial and addressing these accusations in the forum where it's most appropriate, which is a court of law.
The accusations against Linda Sun are substantial. She's charged with violating the Foreign Agents Registration Act and working on behalf of the People's Republic of China and the Chinese Communist Party. Sun rose up through New York State government, working for both Governor Cuomo and Governor Hochul, for whom she was a deputy chief of staff. Hochul spoke on the radio about the charges a few minutes ago.
I'm furious and I'm outraged and absolutely shocked at how brazen her behavior was. It was a betrayal of trust, the trust of government, the trust of the people. And I'll tell you this, the second we discovered some levels of misconduct, we fired her. We alerted the authorities.
Sun was fired from the Labor Department last year for that misconduct. And now Sun is accused of blocking the Taiwanese government from access to the governor's office. She's alleged to have changed the state's messaging about issues related to China and arranging meetings for government officials. The indictment says she reaped financial gains for doing so. Her husband, Christopher, who is also charged with fraud and laundering millions of dollars in kickbacks for personal gain, like the purchase of their multi-million-dollar home in Manhasset, a condo in Hawaii, and a Ferrari. Their relatives also allegedly benefited with gifts from China, including specialty salted ducks and employment.
We look forward to our day in court.
And now the state Senate Republican leader Rob Ord is demanding a full bipartisan investigation into what he calls a security failure.
Pretty crazy stuff, man. This is going to be an interesting one to watch. I mean, obviously, be on the lookout for any state employees driving Ferraris and buying multiple homes. Maybe start your search in Delaware. I don't know. But I mean, on second thought, I don't think we should worry too much about Joey, right? He's on his way out, and I'm sure we're going to learn quite a bit in the next week when all his dirty laundry comes out in Hunter's next trial. But I'm not real worried about Joe anymore. After watching this, I'm more worried about Tiananmen Tim Waltz, which I think is a pretty fire nickname. I think that would have stuck if it wasn't for the fact that Tampon Tim is just so damn good.
The CCP loves Walz more than Hunter, and Tiananmen Tim loves him back. He went to the main line 30 times on his little communist sabbaticals, including his honeymoon with his wife and giant groups of students. She didn't seem to mind. How many Americans are visiting China like this in the 90s? Not many. Walz was a part of the first wave of Americans to teach there. The guy routinely carried around Mao's little red book to every palace and temple he visited. If there's one thing Walz and Kamala have in common, it's their love for communism. According to a local news article from the 90s, Walz told his students China has a system in which everyone shares and gets free food and housing. But not everybody in China is treated the same. Walz was paid twice as much as any Chinese teacher while he was there. He had the only air-conditioned department on campus, which came in handy after long days of Tai Chi in the quad. Walz was the only one allowed to watch TV in color. Everybody else stuck with black and white. But Tai Chi Tim would often repay their generosity, hosting epic birthday and Christmas parties for the Chinese. Bet that little red book was a huge hit at Secret Santa. Walls told a local newspaper, no matter how long I live, I'll never be treated that well again. It's almost like they were grooming him. Walls was enlisted in the National Guard for all of these trips. Why would the Chinese give a member of the U.S. military such access? Who's to say that China, the world's biggest surveillance state, doesn't have anything on Walls? Democrats cried for years that Trump was compromised because he stayed one night at a Ritz in Moscow. But Walls spends decades going back and forth to China, then rises through the U.S. military and political ranks, and no one seems to care. The FBI isn't concerned, of course, not even a little. But Congressman James Comer is. And now the House Oversight Committee's launching a fresh probe into Walls and his Chinese ties. Was the first Chinese vice president targeted or recruited for CCP influence operations? We might just find out. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer is here. Congressman, how is it that the FBI doesn't seem to care about this at all, and you do?
Well, it's very concerning that the FBI, to my knowledge, has never even investigated this. Now, we're still trying to determine what extent they have as far as all the trips this high-level official from the United States government, even before that in the military, made to China. Look, if you look at Waltz's background, and you look at his ideology and the things he talks about when he ran for attorney general, when he ran for governor, this is a guy that really has embraced China's view of the world, the Chinese ideology, which is communism. And I think you look at Waltz, and I fear we have a guy that who's never been in the private sector. He's worked for the government his whole life. From looking at his financial background, it doesn't look like that he owns any stocks. You know, his retirement's in a government pension plan. This guy's very dependent on the government, and I believe he thinks that China, the business model that China's had, might be the ideal model for the United States. Let the government make the decisions for the people. Let the government control the markets. Let the government control the businesses. Let the government get the people out of poverty. And this is something that should be a concern to every American. The media is not examining this. I don't think
I hope because I know about China, and you know about China, Congressman.
Can you actually imagine if just somehow, some way, through some stroke of the worst possible luck ever, Kamala Harris actually gets elected and we get to go from Joe Biden to Tim Walz? I mean, both with very, very suspect ties to China. I mean, China will literally own us by the end of this. I mean, they'll never even have to fire a shot. They will literally own the place. But apparently, you know, that's not all bad news. Apparently, they have a really amazing system where everyone gets taken care of. And every once in a while, they might let you watch some color TV. I mean, it's crazy, man. Jesse had a great point. You know, Trump was apparently compromised by everyone and everything. Yet no one even pretends to care about any of this stuff. I don't really fully understand. It's completely crazy, but that's all I've got for now. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you haven't already, be a part of our growth. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Most importantly, share the channel. I'll see you in the next one.